Hello and welcome to the Football Diary podcast and this mini-series where I'm previewing some of the biggest teams in Serie A ahead of the domestic season kicking off this weekend. My name is Miles and in this episode I'll be talking you through my team, Roma, and their chances in Serie A. Now while you're with me, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, it'd be great to have your support and we'll be posting much more content in the coming season. We always appreciate you as an audience. Now, Mourinho's men, what can they expect from this season? It's been a really interesting summer for them. The team that got all the way to the Europa League final, a season after winning the Europa Conference League, will be looking to push on again, particularly in those cup competitions. But there is always a bit of a cloud around Roma when it comes to transfer windows, and they have to sell before they can bring in. Now, I have no doubt that one of their plans for this summer was to cash in on Tammy Abraham. Although he is clearly their best striker at the club, he had less of a good season last year compared to his first season in Rome. And I think a lot of Premier League clubs would have still been knocking on the door for his signature, and they could have made a big amount of money there. His injuries stopped that from happening. So instead, they've been limited in sales. They managed to sell Roger Ibanez over to Saudi Arabia, of course, for 30 million euros, and that brought some money in. But you can tell by their activity in this transfer market that they're limited to what they can spend. Now, they've tried to be wise with their budget. They've had to completely rebuild the midfield. Now, Nemanja Matic moved on. Mady Camara wasn't really a success last year, and his loan spell came to an end. And the same can be said of Gini Wijnaldum. Now, they've gone back to PSG to pick off two more centre midfielders. Paredes, who obviously was at Juventus last year and has played for Roma before, he's back for about €2.5 million. So a smart buy. I don't think you can argue with a World Cup winner being bought for that cheap. And of course, they've got a loan deal with a view to make it permanent for Renato Sanchez, a player who looked like he was back on the come up after his successful spell at Lille. But limited game time at PSG may have knocked that slightly. Mourinho will be hoping to get the best out of him in the coming season. I think that could be a smart signing. No more smart though than Hassan Aouar, who was someone who was highly coveted across Europe for a couple of years and kind of fell out of favour at times at Lyon, lost his form a little bit, but again has shown what an excellent player he can be. And even in pre-season, there's been some really exciting glances of him linking up really well with Dybala and how they can move forward together. Obviously, they've replaced Roger Ibanez with Ivan Ndika from Frankfurt and a free transfer as well. Another smart bit of business. And Diego Llorente has joined them as well after his successful loan spell towards the back end of last season. But we are entering third season Mourinho. A milestone he's never got past before with a club. And it is very well recorded that there is often a meltdown here. I wonder where Roma get goals from. Only Torino managed to score less goals in the top 10 of Serie A last season than them. And of course now Tammy Abraham's long-term injury, it rules him out till around Christmas as far as I'm aware. So they're really heavily reliant on Paulo Dybala to bring the goals in for them because Andrea Bellotti just didn't really hit the heights that Roma wanted for him last season. So that is going to be a struggle if they don't bring in an attacking player in the window. I would be surprised if they didn't go for someone though. They've already let Shomurodov go on loan, and again with Abraham's injury they do look light in attacking areas. Another surprising one for me was letting Volpato, the young kind of prospect, go as well. Him moving to Sassuolo seems an odd deal for Roma. So I do wonder if they've got someone in the pipeline because it needs something coming in. Otherwise, Roma will be looking at around the same position in the league as they were last season. And ultimately, we know that Mourinho's aim is to get himself into the Champions League. They were so close, penalty kicks away from doing that last season. But they've got to go one further this year, and I really hope they can.